There's a shliach in a state called Utah here in the United States. The shliach there is Rabbi Benny Zippel. He's a friend of mine. A few hundred miles from where Rabbi Zippel lives, there are institutions for troubled teens. These are teenagers that get in trouble with the law, and you don't want to put a teenager in a prison. So you build these rehabilitation centers for them. And he visits with these locations from time to time because unfortunately there are Jewish teens in these rehabilitation centers. And he's in touch with their families and he finds ways to help them out in any way that he can. So one day he gets a call from a woman who tells him that her daughter ran away from this rehabilitation center. And the police found her and she's in all kind of trouble. Please, Rabbi, can you go over there and convince the police and the school to let her back in, to give her another chance? I don't want my daughter in prison. So Rabbi Zippel says, the school is a few hundred miles away. I'll tell you what, I'll go on Sunday. Today was Friday. I'll go this Sunday, but it's going to cost you. So she says, of course, whatever fee you want, name your price. So he says, no, I'm not talking about money. I want you to pay me back with a mitzvah. You take upon yourself the mitzvah of lighting the candles on Friday night. I'll go Sunday and take care of your daughter. I know the director of that rehabilitation center. I will speak to them. I will speak to the chief of police. I'll make it work. You light the Shabbos candle. Silence. She says, I don't know anything about it. I don't think I can take this upon myself. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't do this. So the rabbi says, you were about to give me any money I asked for. All I'm asking you for is to light a Shabbat candle. And I ask you that because that brings blessings to your daughter as well. She says, okay, send me the kit in the mail with the information booklet and I'll light it. So he says, listen, today is Friday. Why should we wait for me to send you a kit in the mail with the instruction booklet? Light one today. Light one today. Don't wait for a kit. Start your mitzvah today. She says, but I don't know how to do it. He says, if you have a candle, it's simple. She says, no, I need the instruction booklet. Send me the kit in the mail. So he says this to her. He still has no idea from where she's calling. He says, if I can arrange for someone to bring a candle and an instruction booklet to your house today, will you light it today? And she says, of course, but Rabbi, Utah is not around the corner. How are you possibly going to get it for me today? So he says, well, tell me where you live. And in Rabbi Zippel's mind is there a neighborhood today that doesn't have a Chabad house nearby? So she says it's a city called Calabasas. Benny Zippel is right away on Chabad.org where you put in, find a center, and you put in the name of the city and it tells you the closest Chabad house to that person. And that particular time when the story took place, I was the closest Chabad house. So now that he has a name of a city, he sees that I'm just a few miles away. He asks the woman to wait on hold, puts her on hold, calls me and says, Moishi, if I asked you for a favor to bring a candle to a home in Calabasas today, could you do it? I say, of course, no problem. He says, okay, hold on one minute. Puts me on hold, gets back to her and says, okay, just give me your phone number. I will have someone give you a call to arrange for a candle to be delivered to your home today. She says, it's impossible. This is even before the days of Amazon. We have it that can deliver something in 2 days. Delivery meant 5 days, 7 days, especially from a different state. He says, just give me your phone number. She gives him her cell. She gives over her cell number. He hangs up from her. I call right away and say, hello, I'm your Candleman delivery boy. She can't believe this is happening. She just got off the phone with a rabbi in Salt Lake City, Utah. What do you mean you're going to deliver a candle today? I said, yeah, we have a network of places. Just give me directions to your home. I'll be right over to your home with a candle and show you how to do it. She says, but I'm not even in my house right now. I'm out in my car. I'm not home. I won't be home till later in the afternoon. I said, okay, we can still do it later in the afternoon. But maybe, where are you right now? Maybe you're not far from me. She says, well, I'm in a city you probably never heard of. I said, what's the name of the city? She said, Agura Hills. I said, oh, what street are you on? She says, I'm on Canwood Street. I say, where Canwood? She said, I'm by a gas station, Canwood, and Reyes Adobe. I said, okay. So this is what I want you to do, I told the lady. When you finish putting gas in your car, I want you to come out of the gas station, make a right turn, and just drive 100 feet. I will be the man standing in the street holding a candle in my hand. The entire time that she's on the phone with a Chabad rabbi in Salt Lake City, Utah, she's 100 feet from my Chabad house. She comes out of the gas station. I see the car pulling up slowly. She walks out and she's crying away because she said she knew that something powerful was going on here. She knew that she mattered. She knew that her daughter mattered to God. She knew that this candle mattered. And she knew that God was watching over her and playing an important role in her life. Echad, echad. The Rebbe taught us the importance of one Jew, one candle, one mitzvah, one girl, one boy, one tefillin. There was a prominent Belzer Chassid who lived in Eretz Yisrael, and he wasn't very fond of Lubavitch, and he was an outspoken critic of the Rebbe. And he was particularly critical of the fact that the Rebbe would encourage his Hasidim to interact with the quote-unquote non-religious Jew. He felt that by mingling with these elements, Lubavitchers were exposing themselves and their children to influences that compromised their own standards and caused damage to the frum community as a whole. It was his philosophy. So whenever he would have the ability to speak in public, he would mock the Rebbe, their outreach work. He wrote articles in the Yiddish newspapers, mocking the Rebbe, mocking the Chabad movement. As time went on, one of this man's own sons became very disillusioned with Yiddishkeit, and he began to rebel. And things went from bad to worse until this young man left home and abandoned the ways of Torah life completely. There was no talking to him, no convincing him to come back. He cut off his payas, he shaved off his beard, and he embarked on a totally secular way of life. He became anti-religious. And his family was crushed, no one more than his father, who cried himself to sleep every night. One day, this young man, now a successful businessman, is walking in a bus station in Tel Aviv when he is approached by a Lubavitcher Chassid. What does the Chabadnik say? I'm sure you all know. Did you put on tefillin today? And he was very quick to respond that he did not and that he had no interest in putting them on. When you hear that type of tone, when they insist, and I have no interest in putting on, you know you have a customer, you know someone with a story. So you persist and you don't back off. And he continued to go after the guy. And finally he said, look, I'm asking you for a personal favor. It's been a slow day today. Come on, do me a favor, roll up your sleeve, let's put it on. And the guy said, fine. He rolls up his sleeve, he takes the tefillin out, he knows how to put it on. Baruch atah, he makes the bracha in the Yiddish accent. And by the time he's putting on the tefillin on his head, he breaks out in tears. And that was the opening that the Chabadnik needed. And he put his arms around him, and they spoke, and they spoke, and they spoke some more, and they continued this friendship. And to make a long story short, the man himself returns back to Judaism, back to his father's house, back to an observant way of life. And you can imagine how excited his father was. But he was an honest man also, this elder Belzer Chassid. And he remembered all the time that he mocked Chabad and the Rebbe for doing just this. And look now, it saved his son. So he got on an airplane and he went to New York. And he requested a private audience with the Rebbe. And he came to the Rebbe with tears in his eyes to ask for forgiveness for all the years of criticism and ridicule that he had spoken publicly against the Rebbe and against his Hasidim. And the Rebbe said this to him: there's no greater pain in the world that a parent feels when a child goes off the right path. And at the same time, there's no greater joy in the world that a parent feels when the child comes back home. I want you to know that the distress that you felt when your son ran away and abandoned Yiddishkeit is the pain that I feel every single day for every Jew in Klal Yisrael that hasn't yet come back home. And at the same time, the Rebbe said, the joy you felt when your son came back is the joy I feel when I learn of any Jew who has started a life of mitzvot and of studying of Torah. That's the way the Rebbe looked at us. That's the way the Rebbe looked at every Jew. That's the way the Rebbe saw every Jewish child, every individual, every mitzvah. And this is how he inspired us to go out there and inspire our world. The atem to look to echad, one person at a time,